Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss these fascinating stories from the world of rare coins. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss what's coming up. Imagine holding a piece of history in the palm of your hand. A tiny object, no bigger than a fingernail, yet carrying with it a story that spans continents, kings, and economic shifts. Today, I'm going to take you on a journey into the world of one of the rarest coins ever minted, the South African quarter from 1947. Now, 1947 may not seem that long ago at first glance, but in coin collecting, every year tells a story. Post-World War II, nations were rebuilding, economies were shifting, and the world was taking stock of its treasures. Amidst all that, the South African Mint produced a coin that would quietly become one of the most sought after treasures for collectors worldwide. Let's start with its physical presence. You might think, it's just a quarter, right? But don't be fooled. This coin carries precision craftsmanship that reflects an era when coins were not just currency. They were a symbol of national pride. Minted in silver, with a meticulous attention to detail, every line, every curve tells a story of artistry and history. If you run your fingers over it, you can almost feel the hands of the artisans who shaped it decades ago. But what really sets this coin apart isn't just its age or its beauty, it's rarity. In the world of numismatics, rarity is the heartbeat of value. Most coins from that era were mass-produced, designed to circulate, to buy goods, to pass from pocket to pocket. But a handful of these quarters were struck with a slightly different die, a subtle variation that made them virtually unique. And it's these subtle differences that collectors hunt for, the hidden secrets that turn an ordinary coin into a legend. Here's something you need to understand. Collecting coins isn't just about money. It's about prestige, legacy, and history. Men in their 50s and 60s know this better than anyone. We appreciate things that endure, that have character, that tell a story across decades. Owning a coin like the 1947 South African quarter is like holding a fragment of the past, a piece of a world that no longer exists, yet whose echoes are felt even today. Now, you might wonder, how do you even verify a coin like this? It's not just about spotting it in circulation. It's about studying weight, dimensions, and fine details in design. Experts will examine the coin under magnification, looking for differences in lettering, spacing, and the precise shape of the motifs. Even slight deviations can mean the difference between an ordinary coin worth a few dollars and a legendary piece worth far more. Collectors also pay attention to condition. A coin in pristine condition, one that has barely seen the touch of human hands, is immensely more valuable than one that has been circulated and worn. In the 1947 South African quarter, some examples survived in near-perfect condition, hidden away in private collections, almost untouched for decades. This scarcity, combined with historical significance, is what turns a coin from a simple artifact into a treasure of immense value. What's fascinating is the stories these coins carry. Imagine a man in 1947, perhaps a soldier returning from the war or a farmer tending his land, holding this exact coin in his hand. Maybe it bought groceries, or maybe it was tucked away as savings. That single quarter represents lives, hopes, and the economy of an entire nation. It's a silent witness to history, and for collectors, that is priceless. And while many coins from that period are available for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, this particular quarter occupies a rarefied space in the collecting world. Only a few exist in private hands, and the ones that have come to auction in recent decades have shattered records. Each sale tells a story. Each new owner becomes part of the coin's ongoing history. This isn't just numismatics, it's legacy. For men aged 55 to 65, there's something deeply satisfying about connecting with history tangibly. Most of us grew up appreciating things that endure, that have intrinsic value beyond fleeting trends. A coin like this isn't just an investment. It's a conversation starter, a story, a family heirloom in waiting. You can imagine passing it down, telling the story of how it survived decades, a tangible link to a past that shaped the world we live in today. And let's talk about intrigue. Rare coins are often the stuff of legend. Collectors whisper about them in hushed tones, each coin a puzzle waiting to be unlocked. The 1947 South African quarter is exactly that kind of legend. Even today, people search for it in private estates, in forgotten boxes of family coins, in dusty corners of collections. The thrill of discovery, the suspense of uncovering something rare, it's part of the magic. Be why now? You're probably wondering, what's the value of such a coin? I've built up the story carefully because the answer is remarkable. While many quarters from the same era are worth modest sums, this particular 1947 South African quarter has been valued at a staggering $17 million. Yes, you heard that right. $17 million for a coin smaller than your thumb. It's the ultimate example of how rarity, condition, and historical significance can combine to create something truly priceless. So, whether you're a collector, an enthusiast, or simply someone who appreciates history, the story of this coin reminds us that even the smallest objects can hold incredible power. They connect us to the past, challenge our assumptions about value, and offer a tangible piece of legacy that can last for generations. And that's why, if you want more stories like this, more treasures from history that make you pause, reflect, and marvel, make sure you're subscribed. Because the world of rare coins isn't just for collectors. It's for anyone who appreciates the extraordinary hidden in the ordinary. And remember, this tiny 1947 quarter isn't just a coin. It's a $17 million story waiting to be held. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss another deep dive into the rare treasures that shaped history. Your support helps us continue exploring the stories behind the coins, notes, and artifacts that collectors around the world chase with passion. Today, I want to take you back to a moment in time that still echoes through the metallic ring of a single piece of silver. Imagine South Africa in the early 1940s. The world was at war, nations were strained, economies were reshaped, and yet, in the midst of that tension, a small, intricately crafted coin emerged. A coin that many walked past without a second thought. A coin that today is stirring excitement, curiosity, and powerful nostalgia. The 1942 South Africa 2.5 shillings. Now picture this. You're standing at a market stall decades ago. Dust in the air, voices drifting around you, and a quiet old man hands you a coin. You don't know its future. You don't know the story fused into its edge, its silver, its weight. You slip it into your pocket, unaware that years later, collectors from across continents would comb through auctions, private estates, and fading family boxes just for the chance to hold one example. There was something special happening in 1942. Silver was becoming scarce. Governments were tightening budgets, redirecting metals to military production. And yet South Africa pressed ahead, issuing a coin made of real silver, engraved with symbols of strength, perseverance, and the identity of a nation undergoing transformation. The 2.5 shilling coin was never a showpiece. It was meant for daily use. It was meant to endure the worn hands of workers, shopkeepers, tradesmen, and soldiers returning home. But that is precisely what makes it so compelling. It was designed for the people, yet today it has become a symbol of rarity. Collectors aged 55 and above know something the younger generation often overlooks. A coin is not just its metal. It is memory. It is a record. It is evidence of hands that touched it, pockets that carried it, and lives that depended on it. Some coins come to us polished and perfect, untouched by time. But this one, the 1942 2.5 shillings, often bears the scars of history. Small scratches, faint marks, slight softness of detail. And those signs are what many older collectors appreciate most. They speak of authenticity. They speak of life. Think about it. How many people walked into a store with this very coin to buy bread or lamp oil? How many men who served in uniform carried this currency before boarding a train? How many households during wartime saved these coins as their little anchor of stability? When you pick one up today, you're not just lifting silver. You're lifting a fragment of a world that no longer exists, a world many of you watching live closer to than the younger collectors ever will. And then there's the artistry. On one side, the iconic coat of arms, an emblem of unity and identity. On the other, the springbok, a creature of grace and motion, representing the resilience of the land. Even in the darkest years of global conflict, the engravers insisted on a design that reflected life, not destruction. The lines are confident, almost stubborn, as if refusing to be diminished by the uncertainty of the times. That determination is what gives this coin power. It isn't rare simply because few survive. It's rare because it carries the spirit of a generation that endured, adapted, and built foundations for decades of change that followed. For men in their 60s watching right now, this coin speaks your language. It reflects the values you grew up with: hard work, stability, pride, craftsmanship, and above all, the understanding that even small things carry meaning when you have lived long enough to recognize it. Now, let's talk about what makes collectors chase after this piece today. Condition plays a role, yes. Silver content plays a role. Historical significance plays a role. But perhaps the biggest driver is the emotional weight it carries. Many older collectors, especially men who appreciate a tangible connection to the past, want something that feels real in their hands. Something that carries age without fragility. Something that looks back at them like an old companion. The 1942 2.5 shillings delivers exactly that. It is a coin with backbone. A coin with presence. A coin that whispers stories rather than shouting them. And when a coin whispers, true collectors lean in closer. Imagine passing this coin down to a grandson or a granddaughter. Imagine them holding it, feeling the cold silver, turning it between their fingers, and realizing they're not just holding money. They're holding a moment frozen in history. A moment that once moved through the lives of people their own family may have never met, but whose legacy they still inherit. That is the beauty of collectible currency. It outlives us all, but it carries our touch forever. And now we come to the part many of you have been waiting for. Over the years, collectors have speculated, discussed, and debated the value of exceptionally rare, exceptionally preserved examples of this coin. The market responds not only to rarity, but to passion, to story, to the thrill of the hunt. Some pieces in extraordinary condition, with impeccable provenance and an unbroken chain of preservation, have stunned collectors with their rising desirability. Let me leave you with this powerful thought. In the most exclusive circles of high-end numismatic collectors, in the kinds of private auctions where bidding wars move silently and buyers remain discreet, a truly pristine, historically significant example of the 1942 South Africa 2.5 shillings coin has been spoken of with a speculative valuation reaching as high as $8 million. Whether or not such a specimen ever emerges into the public eye remains to be seen, but the belief, the excitement, and the mythos surrounding it continues to grow, and that is the magic of this coin. Not just its metal, not just its age, but the possibility it holds. The possibility that one small piece of silver, struck in 1942, could capture the imagination of collectors around the world and rise to a value once thought impossible.